Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Catalina Gillies. A revised vaccine disclosure policy for city staff that will level the playing field was approved last night by City Council. The policy now includes all city employees and council itself. Also last night, a proposed change in the Synergy North rate model could lower municipal taxes if it's approved next month. Corey Nordstrom has more.
All city employees will now be a part of the mandatory COVID vaccine disclosure policy that requires them to be vaccinated or get regular rapid tests and take a vaccine education course. Council voted unanimously in favor of the revised recommendation that now includes members of council. Mayor Bill Morrow says it's clear that council thinks this is the right thing to do, and the city's policy is now consistent with other large corporations.
The timing is concerning. Now we're fall time again, which means more indoor gathering. We know Delta variant is more infectious and highly transmissible. As we're meeting indoor more, the numbers are climbing a little.
In other business, Synergy North brought a proposal to council on a rate model change from rate minimization to rate of return as it looks to pay off a debt of over $26 million to the city. Administration recommended the city switch models, which comes with a savings of $12 to $21 for property owners' tax levies, countered by a smaller increase to hydro bills.
Results in about a $9 to $10 a year increase for the customer. So 73 cents to 82 cents a month per customer.
A one-time capital infusion or operating budget infusion or a combination of both, and an annual interest payment as well, which would support the tax base of the city of Thunder Bay on option one to the tune of about $400,000 a year or $500,000 a year, whatever the report tells us, plus a $10 million hit.
Council will vote on the change October 18th, and it would come into effect in 2024. The city is also looking at changes to the transit fare model designed to help out youth and those with lower incomes. Fare strategy options include a pilot project with expanded age range, as well as electronic payment methods.
If you proceed with some of the directions in here, how are we going to get some cost recovery?
These are incentivized fare media options that will encourage, that are hoping to encourage people to use transit more frequently. And with that comes increased ridership.
Administration will report back to Council on December 6th when the transit review is complete. Council also voted unanimously to approve a request to the province for $2 million in funding towards upgrading the Botanical Conservatory. Corey Nordstrom, TBT News.
Meanwhile, a motion to make garbage cans mandatory was defeated last night at the council meeting. City staff are already reviewing its waste collection system and advised council to hold off on a decision. They are mandated to begin organic waste collection in the coming years and are also discussing automated garbage collection. The motion by at-large councillor Aldo Roberto was aimed at decreasing occurrences where animals tear open garbage bags left waiting for city waste collectors. He says it's something he planned on bringing forward in previous years, but was awaiting a decision on automated garbage trucks coming to the city. On top of that, the province has mandated Thunder Bay to begin organic waste collection before 2025. Waste and Recycling Manager Jason Sherban says the two could be done using the same vehicle if started together, and the organic waste collection could solve Roberto's issue.
40 to 45% of the waste you put out at the end of your driveway is in fact food waste. So if you think of all the waste that birds and crows are really getting at the end of a driveway, will automatically be contained in an organics green bin cart, irregardless of a garbage cart for actual garbage.
The mandatory garbage can motion was defeated 7-6. Administration will have its waste collection review completed by the first quarter of next year. For the first time this month, the Thunder Bay District Health Unit is reporting no new COVID-19 cases today, and the weekly vaccination numbers have fallen once again. With no new cases and 2 previous cases now resolved, the number of active cases across the district has dropped to 15, and there are currently 2 COVID patients in hospital, with one of them in the ICU. As for vaccinations, just over 2,100 people received a dose last week, down from 2,600 the previous week. Close to 1,000 of those people received their first dose. According to the Ministry of Health figures, the number of people aged 12 and up with at least one dose is now up to 89.2%, and the number of district residents with both doses is up to 82%. The health unit's own numbers are lower at 83% and 75.4%, respectively. Ontario health officials today provided an update on the province's proof of vaccination guidelines. Ontario is on track to release both its enhanced vaccine certificate with a QR code and the QR code verification for businesses. Colin DeMello reports.
In just a matter of days, Ontario residents will be stopped at the doors and asked about their vaccine status, the province's latest effort to drive up vaccination rates.
Already, we are seeing the impact, with over 90,000 first doses administered in the week following our announcement to require proof of vaccination.
The province's proof of vaccination will be required indoors in a restaurant, bar, or nightclub, at a meeting or event space, inside a gym, fitness center, or recreational facility, in casinos and bingo halls, and inside concert venues, theaters, and cinemas. But the unvaccinated will have a few exemptions. You can use the washroom if you're unvaccinated, make a retail purchase. You can be unvaccinated and place or pick up an order at a restaurant and pay for the order as well. Here's how the Chief Medical Officer of Health justifies it.
So we have always assumed outdoors is safer than indoors. If you go indoors and it's less than 15 minutes, the risk of exposures to others is much less.
Critics say there are too many loopholes.
We see how the virus operates, and it's a highly contagious virus. I just think the government didn't sharpen its pencil when it comes to preparing this certificate plan.
On October 22nd, the QR code will be ready to download. That will embed all of your vaccine information, medical exemptions, and ID. The government says businesses scanning the QR codes will not transmit the data to the province, but the province will know exactly what's in your QR code.
All information in the QR code will be connected to the Ministry of Health system in order to get that information.
When the vaccine passport takes effect on the 22nd of September, the province says local police will enforce it.
If at any point they feel threatened, we want them to call 911 as soon as possible to make sure that our police officers can be there to assist.
The Deputy Premier says she doesn't expect the demand on 911 to be huge. She says she's asking people to be reasonable when they're asked for a vaccine passport.
Thunder Bay police continue to investigate a shooting incident in the West Fort area after a woman was shot with what's believed to be a pellet gun. Police were dispatched to a parking lot near the intersection of Frederica and Edward Streets around 6 o'clock last night, following reports of an injured female. Paramedics with the Superior North EMS transported the victim to the Thunder Bay Regional Hospital, and police say she has been since treated and released. Investigators with the Major Crimes Unit are now involved in the investigation. A police presence remained there until midnight last night, and the public was asked to avoid the area. There's no word yet from police on whether a potential suspect has been identified. The first of two open houses regarding the proposed northern road link to the Ring of Fire was held in Thunder Bay today. The project would provide road access between the Martin Falls and Wabekwe First Nations and the remote mining deposit. Kurt Black reports.
The Northern Road Link is a proposal by Martin Falls and Wabekwe First Nations to build a 155-kilometer all-season road that will link both communities' individual access roads to each other, along with the Ring of Fire mining deposit. Tuesday saw the first of two open houses aimed at Indigenous members and the general public to ensure that all interested parties are up to date with the latest project information and to have any questions answered. Project spokesperson Stephanie Ash says the open houses are important to guarantee that the proposal continues to be a collaboration with all communities involved.
There are two First Nations who are leading this terms of reference process, and they've made it very clear that making sure that they're collaborating with their neighboring First Nations, working together, receiving input is really important to them, and that things will be done respecting other First Nation communities and with a really community-led process.
The Northern Road Link project is currently in its early stages, as the terms of reference on the environmental assessment was issued earlier this year by the two proponent First Nations. Project co-lead Kasim Sadiq says once the review process is complete, a final draft on the environmental assessment can be expected by the middle of next year.
And we expect that through the review process, once we're done working with Indigenous communities and public stakeholders, we would be able to submit a final tour in spring to summer 2022.
Ash added that it is very important to keep this proposal on schedule to ensure that Indigenous communities in the McFalds Lake area gain access to roadways that will prove as a social and economic asset in the future.
The communities of Cost see this as a vital lifeline. It's a social economic lifeline for their communities and for people who are living without access in the remote north today.
The second open house will be held down at the Delta Waterfront Hotel on Wednesday afternoon. Kurt Black, TBT News.
With just under a week until federal election day, the number of people who took part in the recent advance polls was much higher than in 2019. The numbers for Thunder Bay Rainy River were not available today, but in Thunder Bay Superior North, 13,630 people voted at the advance polling locations, compared to just over 10,000 last election. Around a dozen polling stations were available around the city from Friday until Monday. Meanwhile, the returning officer for that riding, Dale Mason, says they're still looking for people to work on Election Day. Right now, they are approximately 20 people short of their total requirement of 700. And they could also use some extra standby workers. Mason says they have enough people to make it work, but there might be a few challenges.
The existing staff will have to work even harder, which may create longer lines than we want to have. We may have to combine polls and have the staff from one poll look after two sets of people, which will make the lines longer again as well. So we're working hard to avoid that. We're trying to make voting easy for people to do, and without those 20 people, it'll be a little harder for some people.
Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, Mason had a more difficult time finding places to set up polling stations on Election Day, since the usual spots like some schools and buildings with smaller rooms were unavailable. He urges people to double-check where they're supposed to vote on September 20th, since approximately 15,000 people are expected to vote somewhere different than usual. Many organizations and companies in the city have been forced to pivot during the COVID-19 pandemic, and United Way Thunder Bay is one of them. So today marked the launch of their new Look annual fundraising campaign called Local Love in Action. The campaign replaced the traditional annual launch breakfast with Show Your Local Love Day to encourage people in the city about all the ways they can take action. Director of Philanthropy and Community Engagement for United Way, Jody Wilson, highlighted what individuals can do if they can't give back in the form of a donation.
They can certainly volunteer. You know, they can join a committee. They can help with the DIY kits. They can help with the Mini Days of Caring project, right? Like, come out and help. Roll up your sleeves.
We always like to support events in the community that enrich the community, and we know that there's a need in Thunder Bay and in the region, and the United Way is best suited to serve that need.
T-Baytel CEO Dan Topatai also announced their matching donation of up to $10,000 for the second year in a row. The United Way once again declined to announce a fundraising target for 2021, instead saying their ultimate goal is to inspire individuals, families, and businesses to help tackle issues of poverty by showing their local love. The Vox Popular Media Arts Festival is returning for its 17th year, running from September 16th until the 26th. It showcases the talents of local and international filmmakers and musicians. Last year's festival was limited to just a virtual setting due to the pandemic, but this year Vox will kick off with an outdoor event at Waverly Park this Thursday evening. Admission will be free for all to come and enjoy live music, film screenings, and a projection of Vox's virtual art gallery. It all starts at 7 p.m. Festival Director Adrian Harpel says while last year's virtual event exceeded expectations, being able to reconnect with the community in person will be very special.
It was great, and we made it free and accessible because everybody was going through hard times, and this year we were like, okay, let's stick to that, let's keep it free. And getting back to a live event is amazing. The online festival went amazingly last year, like better than we anticipated, which is why we're also doing it again this year. But having a live event to kick off the festival on the first day is going to be epic.
One of the local films being featured Thursday night is Cup Confidential by Ryan Lavia, which depicts the discovery of the Colonial Cup back in 2019 after it had gone missing for 30 years. Lavia says he's thrilled his film will be experienced by the community in a more traditional setting.
Films, you'd like people to see them and experience the viewing of them with people. So when we found out that the Vox Popular Media Arts Festival was actually doing live screenings and Cup Confidential was chosen as one of their few films being shown, we were absolutely thrilled.
Lavia will be dedicating Thursday's screening to his longtime friend Brian Dijak, who recently passed away. More information about all the films and artists is available on their website at voxpopular.com. A Thunder Bay resident is celebrating a surprise payday after winning big with OLG's Encore. Wanda Cardal has won $100,000 by matching the last 6 of 7 Encore numbers in exact order during the June 19th Lotto 649 draw. The occasional lottery player is a retired mother of 3 and grandmother of 1. With the win, Cardal says she would like to save most of her windfall, but says she also hopes to travel, purchase a new TV, and put away some for her grandchild. Congratulations, Wanda.